Yeah, yo, from the crib, Foster Brothers. It's K.E., Phil, y'all ready? Let's get it. Straight out of Baltimore where the streets got grit. Three brothers on the mic, we legit as it gets. K-teched out, never missing a step. Got innovation stacking, always keeping it fresh. Ellis, he the rhythm, keep the beats intact. Music's in his veins, got the speakers packed. Flow smooth like jazz, soulful to the core. Creativity hitting like never before. Phil got swag, fashion killer, game tight. Style elevated, every drip just right. Sports on lock, jersey fresh to the kicks. From runways to courts, he keeps it slick. Welcome to the crib, Foster Brothers got flow. Real talk, real vibes, Baltimore to the globe. K.E. Phil, yeah, we keeping it lit. This is how we do it live, straight from the crib. Yeah, let's go. It's Foster Brothers, baby. From the crib podcast, tune in. Let's go.
What's up, fam? You on another episode of From the Crib podcast, joined by myself, Philly Cash, E, and K. How y'all day going today, man? How was y'all week?
Good. This is good. Ready to get started. So yeah, let's get it.
Let's get it. All right, so our first topic today. So I wanted to get y'all, y'all perspective on, with all these different things coming out about, you got the Diddy thing that happened, you got the R. Kelly scandal. We seen some of the documentaries that was produced with like Nickelodeon with their kids scandals and things of that nature, and their workplace comfortability and things of that nature. So what is y'all perspective on how are y'all still able to enjoy these different shows and different movies and different music with these people in it? Like, how do you separate the arts and the craft from the person that are in the public eye for these different negative things? Like, do it impact how you enjoy your media now?
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of people will be a hypocrite on this situation because they'll be like, all right, I ain't listening to Diddy no more, but they still listen to R. Kelly. Or they'll say, I ain't listening to R. Kelly no more, they still listen to Michael Jackson or whatever it is.
Right. Yeah.
So it's hard. Like, of course, these people are real people doing these real things to people, but at the end of the day, they providing a service. Like, it's the same thing with the whole Tesla thing. Like, people are mad at people for buying Teslas because of what Elon's doing. So it's like kind of the same thing. Like, I'm just here to enjoy the product. That don't mean I'm endorsing what he's doing. It don't mean I'm condoning what he's doing. I'm just enjoying the product of what he used to make. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's hard though, because you kind of feel like you are in a way promoting that person or endorsing that person by either listening to their music or buying their product or pretty much putting money in their pocket. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, I think a lot of people are just trying to enjoy the art that person makes. That's all it is.
Oh,
They're
absolutely.
Not really in the business of getting into the personal side or condoning what they did or anything like that. It's more so I'm just trying to enjoy the art.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that, because even with like the Bill Cosby, like, that is quality, wholesome television, in my opinion. Like the Cosby Show, Different World, these are things I go back and watched over and over to this day. And like you said, some of the things these people produced was like some of the life-changing things that kind of set the standard. Like Tesla was a trailblazer in the electric car industry, and being able to mass produce it and have a battery with the most battery life and technology to support that product. And it's kind of hard, like when you in that space of somebody doing something that in a bad light, but they created something so impactful and changing throughout the years. What you say, E?
Yeah, I feel like you can't judge somebody by their job description. Like, that's like, it's basically whoever's filling that seat at that job and they're doing a good job at it. And then once it comes out that when they go home, they do X, Y, and Z, you can't negate the job that they did on the job. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's kind of how I look at it. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't be the thief of joy. Like when you had that moment when I Believe I Could Fly came on, and you was a fan of Space Jam, and you was like, oh man, I love this song. And then all these allegations come up like, oh man, I used to like this song. But it still doesn't negate how you felt about the actual art form of that song and how it made you feel in that particular time in your life. So I think you'll have to separate it. And I understand what Kendrick was saying about, yeah, you supporting somebody now that things come out about that person, you're supporting, you know, their art. But at the same time, you got to be able to separate the art from the person, because he achieved what he was supposed to do as far as his job description. But when he left that studio, he was probably a different person, and we can't really indulge in that, because that shouldn't affect the art that was made, that he put out to the world.
Yeah.
And like I equated to now. I'm not gonna say where I work at, but my company raised prices, right? And now people are coming to me like, hey, your company raised prices. I'm mad at you now. Like, I don't got nothing to do with that. I just work there, do my job, and I come home.
Right.
So like people gotta learn how to separate somebody's job, somebody's work from personal side.
Right.
No, I agree.
Right.
And I would say the only thing that I kind of look back on and I was like, I didn't really like, was probably like the Nickelodeon thing, just because it was like the children, they would like watching those documentaries, they felt like they was forced to do certain skits that they was uncomfortable with. So now when I go back and watch the media, it's like, it's kind of uncomfortable. It's like, man, these kids was put up to this. But like you're saying, when it comes to those people that, you know, had that certain skill set, and like that's adult professionals, I look at that a little bit differently for some reason. Like the R. Kelly's, he was an R&B artist, so he made the best R&B songs. Even with Bill Cosby, he was started as a comedian, he made the best media content, best shows and TV content for TV. But then when I look at like the Nickelodeon thing, I go back and try to watch like all that, or like the Amanda show and those, and just seeing how they turned out in hindsight, you could kind of see some of the stuff they endured. So I kind of watched that content a little differently.
Yeah, those are like the pitfalls of Hollywood, you would say. And that's what I wanted to talk about as far as like the news that just came out with Terrence Howard and the Diddy situation, right? So Terrence Howard like recently revealed a disturbing encounter he had with P. Diddy, where he felt like Diddy was positioning him to, you know, have sex with him, and he revealed that in his latest news. And you know, Terrence Howard been in the media recently about, you know, being very smart in the scientific space and about molecules and stuff like that. So he was basically expressing that Diddy had requested to meet with him to help him be his acting coach. And then when he came to Diddy's house, Diddy was just looking at him, and he was like what you want to go over, like what kind of acts you want to go over. And he's like, Diddy was just looking at him, he was like, they're just doing nothing. So then he left there, and then his assistant called him and was like, oh, Diddy wants you to come by, he want to hear some of your music, because you know Terrence Howard does music. So he came and it was in the studio listening to the music, and then he was just kind of just sitting there staring at him, like just looking at him, not saying nothing to him and stuff like that. So then he ended up leaving. He was like, all right, yeah, this dude kind of weird. And then his assistant was like, yo, I think he trying to fuck for real. And then he was like, oh, and that's when he kind of kept his distance from him. And then he was like, yeah, I got to cut him off because he a man and he don't condone in that type of stuff. So he cut Diddy off. But I say all that to say, there are people that are positioned in that same type of scenario and submit to those types of situations because they want to make it to the top, and they think they have to do these things to, you know, get a chance.
I mean, they say Meek Mill was one of them.
They said Meek Mill, yeah. So that's like all these allegations. But like, just hearing that, how do you feel about like first hearing about the Terrence Howard story? And do you think it's important for celebrities to talk about and speak about these types of incidents?
No, because I actually seen a clip of when Denzel talk about kind of some of the stuff and how he don't really get involved in those type of things. And it goes to show that you don't necessarily have to sell your soul, as they like to say, to be a big name. And by you sticking to who you are and what you feel like your purpose and what your loyalty is to, I think that will probably make you feel better in what you're doing, as well as in your life outside of your art as well. And it's unfortunate that it is people, like, as we see, it is people that take advantage of their success to the point where they kind of gatekeeping, where they having artists and actors perform certain acts so they can further their career. But if you want to be somebody that be comfortable in your craft, then you just gotta don't take the easy way out and sell yourself or perform any type of acts that's going to put you in that type of situation, because the proof is in the pudding. It's actors that are extremely successful without having to do that we don't see their name popping up and stuff like this.
Yeah, but at the same time, every time I see artists that I don't believe is the most talented, automatically your mind goes to like, what did they do to get put in that position? Because there's so many talented people that you probably never even heard of. But
100%, 100%.
You had these rappers or these singers that's okay. Not gonna say they don't have talent, but there's so many other people that's probably more talented, but they were just put in that position by either being in the right room, doing certain things that some other person didn't want to do. So I can almost guarantee you that stuff goes on a lot more than you would be happy to know. So it's hard, but you know, some people are willing to do anything for money. So you wouldn't be surprised that a lot of times it'll be a case where they'll do whatever it is to get in the door, but then later down on the road where they broke or they don't have any money or they not in the limelight no more, now they want to come out and tell their story. So you're gonna see a lot more of this when there's money on the table. You know, if Diddy ends up going to a jail for a long time, there's going to be a lot of people coming forward because there's going to be a lot of civil suits. You know, Diddy got a nice little bank account, and they're going to be coming after that. So
whip that out.
I think you can expect to see, especially when people know for sure he's not getting out and he's not going to be able to come after them, you're going to see a lot more people start to come forward and tell their story. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, for sure.
And a lot of people feel like these things come about because they feel like even like the Diddies and the people that are successful are held to on a certain string as well. Like it's certain doors that doesn't open for those highly successful people without them compromising their integrity and things of that nature as well. And then sometimes what they were saying was like when people get to that platform on Diddy level where they making that amount of money, and then they kind of start veering off the course of what the powers to be, with my air quotes, what the powers to be want them to do, then they start to put these allegations out in the media. You know, they start to feed these things to shut the person down. It's almost like, all right, man, first of all, you're a black man, you're making too much money, and now you think you could buy a sports team or you could buy a sports league. Nah, we're gonna put you in your place by releasing this information about you, and then we're gonna go after your accounts. So you see that also talked about from like what we consider successful people in the industry as well.
Yeah, and I kind of knew it, kind of solidified it when I heard Cam and Mace talking about it, and they weren't even talking about this situation, but Cam asked Mace. You know, Mace was signed to Diddy, and Cam asked Mace when Mace put Cam on, instead of taking him to Diddy, he took him to Big. So Cam asked him, like, when you put me on, why you take me to Big instead of taking me to Diddy? And he ain't say nothing too controversial, but he said, I knew Big was gonna take care of you. Like, you was my man, I knew he was gonna take care of you. But he already knew what Puff was on.
Yeah.
So like, that right there just told me like, yeah, he was on that shit back then.
Yeah, for sure.
No, 100%.
Yeah, and I think it will start to die down just because you see a lot of people having access to a bag earlier, where they don't have to go to a label to launch their career, because a lot of these artists now are being able to create a lifestyle, create a bag for themselves, either through social media or just any ways that we have more access to our audience, you see a lot of people like kind of more so turning down those 360 deals and be able to negotiate with labels because they don't technically need their help as far as like on the music side and fan wise, but the distribution, you see a lot more distribution deals where they can get that music out to a larger span of people, where you don't see where you can't position somebody to have to need you for something or you could put them in a position like, if you want this money, you gotta do X, Y, and Z. So you'll see that just in every genre. Like they always pick the person that's the most damaged to bring them to the forefront to be now a superstar. But you got to think, that's why we have like criminals and stuff like that. Like, what would you do for money? Like, if you got people that go to jail for life because they are in situations where they just need to get out of that situation, that human nature kicks in even if you have talent. And if they think you have this much talent, they feel like they can put those seeds or get you to do certain things that you don't want to do because you don't have, and you are desperate. Or that desperation of trying to get out your situation, a lot of people will do a lot of different types of things. So it happens more often than not.
Right, and that's kind of why I like that. It's a great conversation to have because it is a battle with that, and that's kind of why I really empathize with when those type of things happen in the space with kids and stuff like that, because like you're saying, people that don't really have that much money and be also being like a minor or a child, it's like you really don't have a lot of people advocating on your behalf if you don't have the proper structure and parents to kind of step in and make those decisions.
Yep. That's why ownership is key.
All right, I want to talk about this next topic. Y'all know about in the recent years, well, really, maybe about 7 years ago, Will Smith did the movie with concussions that kind of changed the trajectory of the NFL and how much they paid attention to the construction of the helmets and concussions. But on September 19th, Monkey Paw, the production company of Jordan Peele, is producing a new movie called Him. One of the lead actors in that movie is Marlon Wayans, who's supposed to be playing a veteran quarterback. It's a thriller. It's about him taking a young quarterback under his wing. He's a QB1. They go off to like an isolated location where he's kind of teaching him the ins and outs of being a professional athlete. And a lot of people, it's getting a lot of buzz just based on the history of, certain movies changing the trajectory and perspective of how we see the NFL. I don't know if you guys remember, but I was looking up the ESPN series. It used to be called Playmakers. That was on ESPN in the early 2000s, and it was like the first introduction to the customer of the NFL, seeing people doing steroids. I think they had some like essence of homosexuality in that series as well as that. And then the NFL they end up stopped filming the series, and you can't even find the series being streamed on any of ESPN's platforms right now. It's called Playmakers. So I just wanted to hear y'all opinion on if y'all heard a little bit anything about the movie. Do you guys see how movies can impact the league, or this movie from Key and Peele?
Yeah.
That's more so what I'm excited about is his mind, the way he goes about expressing his thoughts and putting them on film is different than a lot of people. So like he'll make a thriller, but it just comes in a different way than a lot of different directors can present their film. So I'm really curious to see the way he portrays this, because we all know that it's a issue in the NFL, and a lot of different directors will probably go straight at it, but he's going to take a different angle, I'm sure, that a lot of people won't see coming. So I know it's going to be one of those films that a lot of people will want to talk about. It's going to get a lot of attention, and just the fact that it's going to get a lot of attention, it's going to have no doubt that it's going to have the NFL on their heels. Because whenever a lot of people are talking about concussions and anything that's negative as far as the NFL, they're going to be in damage control mode. So
yeah,
I'm excited for it. That's get excited for a lot of movies, honestly, but that's
Yeah.
something I definitely want to check out.
Yeah.
And like you said, it released September 19th, which is what
Like right as the season start.
exactly.
Yo, when I first heard about this movie, I started thinking in my head. I didn't even look at like what the movie is going to be about or how they was going to make a football movie or horror film. Like I was thinking like he was going to make like a linebacker a demon and like I don't know. It was like, how do you make a football movie scary? But when I was just reading like just like a quick like snippet of like what it could be about, it says promising young football, like you said, a promising young football player that joins an isolated compound to train under a dynasty quarterback, like the quarterback. I'm just thinking about the whole organization is on demon mode. Like they just be doing under the table scary, like like they cutting people arms off in the back in the training room, like giving them like these different types of medicine. Like the coach is on some like devilish, like he on his off time he do coke or something. I don't know, like they don't cut players, they kill players. Like I don't know, and you never like just the determination to try to make it. And like I could just imagine like the down in the dumps organization like the Browns, but like the inside's like the Patriots, but on some demon mode. Like this is how we make our players,
right,
and this is what you gotta do to get on the field. Like I was just thinking how scary that joint would be.
Yeah, and then to take it back to like the real side of it, like in any industry where there's a lot of money involved, you already know
It's some
underhanded shit going on somewhere.
Right, and that's kind of what I think. I think that's going to be the aspect of it, like kind of the opposite of what you think. I kind of think it's not going to be more so because we automatically thinking, right, as they building it up, it's going to be about something physically, like somebody might be getting their arm cut off or somebody might be doing certain drugs. I think this movie is going to take a more of a psychological approach where they kind of talk about how people talk to you or how they manipulate, because you know, like the NFL is all about conformity. So I think he's going to really deep dive into that mental aspect of people, like, all right, we got to talk to him like this, and then how the agents working with the organization to get this guy to do this, and exploitation. So I think that's going to be the angle he take with this, and it's going to be a situation where you're going to be watching a movie and you're going to hate to be the new quarterback coming in. Like, you know, like, because we kind of like look at the NFL like, man, I wish I could go out there and catch a one-hand pass and have millions of people screaming for me. Like, we watching it as a consumer, like popcorn eaters. But the things that probably that goes on in the background for them to protect the shield is probably crazy.
It's going to be like any given Sunday on like 10,000. And I think, and then they might start, touch on that CTE. They might, like, because we have a lot of players that have been passing away for like without illness. Like they've been passing on suicide, and that aspect they might dig into
the mental health aspect of
why,
it.
Like these players are going broke, why these players are killing themselves, why these players are like putting themselves in these situations where they are unaliving themselves. So I think that'd be a concept. And then just the fact that they named it like in our new age, why we call people him. I think, if the movie go off, we're going to think about that saying different. I think that's going to be dope.
Yeah, and then the other thing that's interesting about it is who they chose to cast in the movie. So like when you're thinking like a thriller, serious type movie, you're not thinking about Marlon Wayans.
I mean, he got some like,
He got some range on him.
He got some range on him,
I'll be. Yeah. But I mean, thriller don't necessarily mean it's going to be a scary movie. But I'm excited to see it.
Because if I had to choose somebody, if I had to choose a person for their role, I would choose a comedian, low key. Because a comedian could be that person that could be the person in front of the, like if I'm filming a movie about the league and I got a star player, he could be the person that you can seriously see front facing as the franchise player, but also having a serious side, so they got that. Funny. He got that range, yeah. Because he played an athlete before. He wasn't in a basketball movie.
Yeah. Wasn't he in
I can't remember.
Above the Rim? Was he above it? Oh, no. He was in that movie where he jumped at his brother. He fell on his back and died.
Yeah. I can't remember the name of that.
Yeah, I remember that joint.
Hey, Chet, help us out and comment the movie of that.
Yeah.
Comment.
For sure.
Leave that movie name in the comments.
But
I might have to rewatch that.
Yeah, we might have to go with Pops to that movie, bro.
Yeah, we got you. But
Yeah.
I mean, since we talked about shows and movies that we excited to see, next week, that Black Mirror is coming out. Definitely one of my favorite, probably my favorite series ever to be on Netflix.
No, for sure. I love sci-fi.
And it's funny though, because all of the stuff they talked about in prior seasons, you can see it happening like right now. So it's going to be interesting, like some of the topics they tackle in this show.
Yeah. What was your favorite Broken Mirrors episode? I mean Black Mirrors episode.
Oh man, let's go so many. What was the joint when they was in a video game?
The one that with Mackie in it?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I don't know the name of the episode.
like Black Vipers or something.
I think
Yeah.
I remember that one. I think I remember.
Yeah, that joint was crazy though.
Yeah, that joke was crazy.
That
Yo,
joint was crazy.
I honestly can't even pick a favorite one because they all like
They are
so
different.
unique, and they all kind of touch on the same thing as how technology is going to change the way of living. And it's like these years later, you can really starting to see it coming into fruition. So it's like some of the stuff we might see now might not be so far-fetched. So that's why I'm trying to be curious as far as what they're going to try to tackle in this next season.
Yeah. I got two favorites. I got two favorites.
I was about to say the same thing. I got two favorites too. Let me hear. What's yours?
Remember when my first they tied, but you remember when they was transferring that people conscience into like different things so they could stay like technically alive. You remember that when they transferred the conscience to like a teddy bear and she was stuck in the teddy bear for the rest of time.
Yes.
That one was crazy. And then like one of my favorite ones is the dating one. And then it was like a dating app. And then it tell you how long you want to be with that person.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. That's one of my favorites.
Was crazy.
Too.
That was crazy. And then
It almost looked like a Nest thermostat, the little Nest thermostat drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think yeah.
I like that one with the when he just mentioned with the thing that tell you about how long you're supposed to stay with the person, because it was good, because it was like once you break that social construct of it, that's when you knew you found your person, when you stopped worrying about the time you were spending with them. So I thought that was cool. And then the episode, it was the last episode of season 1. It was like a little girl visiting her pops in like some type of confinement, and he was getting like tortured. It almost looked like he was getting tortured, but it brought all the episodes of that season full circle. And it was kind of talking about, it kind of had an essence of like how certain things are kind of stemmed in racism, because I think the dude was like an innocent dude, but they was like really, they made it seem like he did such a heinous crime, but in actuality they kind of put him in that situation and just started like had him confined and trapped, and then when he tried to talk and do stuff, they would shock him and stuff like that. So I gotta rewatch it, but yeah, that was like the essence of it, but it was good.
You know what? That might be what I do tonight. Start watching some of the old episodes. Do y'all remember the one episode where you could actually pick what happened?
Oh, I didn't see that
I
one.
remember that one.
Yeah, that was a crazy one too. It would get to a point, and then like the menu would come up on the screen. You had to click do this or do this.
Oh, I haven't seen that one. I gotta check that out.
Yeah, I remember that one. No, y'all remember
was crazy.
y'all remember the one when the boyfriend, or I think it was the boyfriend, or the boyfriend died, where the boyfriend died and they moved into this new house, and the boyfriend died, and she was grieving, but it was a website where you can upload all your text messages and all the communication you ever had with them. And they created like an AI where you can you feel like the person is still there, because you can it can formulate the AI and all the data that you ever had with the person, and then you can text them as if you're still talking to them, and it would kick back like a response like you still talking to. And then the thing came up on the screen like, do you want to upgrade? Like, do you want to upgrade these services to an actual like living person? And they'll send you like a doll with, they'll send like a copy of the person, but with all that data inside the joint. Yo, that episode was fire.
What's the crazy part? How hard would it be to actually do that now?
Not hard at all.
Not hard.
Yo,
That's
crazy.
Crazy
Yeah,
part.
yeah. Like
That's the crazy part.
you blend up AI with them being able to create robots, and then how real they making these silicone dolls in China. You put all those types of resources together, bro. You got that.
Right.
Crazy.
Y'all remember the one that was like the whole world was like ran off a social media site, and it was like,
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
a like rating. If you did something bad, you would get like dislikes.
And that was your currency, like where you were in society, bro. That's literally where we at.
Right.
That's not even far fetched.
Right.
That's not even.
Yeah, it was like the
far-fetched.
personality. You had to be like nice and
Bro.
everything. But then if somebody seen a stain on your shirt, it'd be like, man, I don't like that.
Right.
Bro, like, let me tell you this, Phil. Like, I and K, yo, let me tell you this story, yo, because that literally happened. So I'm not gonna say no names, because whatever. People would probably put it together. But look, yo, it was this girl that went to my high school, right? And she was regular, like a basic, basic chick. But after school, like a little after school, she became like an Instagram model. Right, and she started, hanging out with so and so and who's, and started getting her likes up, right, and her social media following was high because who she was being around. So I remember it was like one of my teammates had this big cookout. We out of high school, but we kind of like 2-3 years removed. So he had a big ass cookout. Everybody was at this cookout. So I'm on the porch and I'm just kicking it, talking to like my friends. She pull up. Mind you, we went to the same high school, so I know her from high school. So she pull up, who she is now, and then she walks up on the porch. She like said hi to everybody. Now, me in my head, I'm like, you know me, I know you. I'm gonna say hi to you. And then I say, oh, what's up, so and so. She was like, she looked at me like, you play soccer, right? I said, this bitch. Like, yo, just the fact, bro. Like, and then she knew, I knew she knew
crazy.
who I was, bro. And just the fact that she knew me, but she couldn't, I guess her saying whatever to me would bring her down the level, you know what I'm saying? Like, bring her likes down the level, like from the episode. Yo, she knew I played sports, yo. She couldn't help to name the wrong sport, and she know damn well I ain't play no fucking soccer.
That's crazy work.
But it's just like in that essence, bro. Like when people, start getting that social media follow up, it do mess with their psyche of who they think they are or who they feel like they are, and it really kind of, change the dynamic of things. And I can see how that plays out in real life, yo. That like. People might perceive themselves more higher just because who they are on social media.
No, 100%. I remember when we went to Miami like years ago, and you could tell certain chicks you talk to, they like, they don't exchange numbers or nothing like that. They would be like, what's your Instagram? And then they'll check, like, I'm going to follow on Instagram. And that's their way of seeing how popping you are. And they'd be like, oh, you got this and that. So I remember years ago back when in the dating life, that's kind of what's the thing. Like, oh, yeah, let me trade Instagram. Let me see how popping you was. And then that's how I decide if I'm going to date you or not. So it's kind of like, I don't know. It world runs like that sometimes,
Bro,
it's a different time.
And I be having conversations because like we all married, so we like not in that lifestyle. But it's some people that be saying like, yo, it's hard out here. And it's like, I can imagine, like, would you determine who you talk to based off how many followers they got?
No, because they doing it for the gram, and you could expect it.
In fact,
If you piss them,
somebody that don't got no followers.
no, for sure. I feel like maybe the lower the better, bro.
Right.
Because imagine this, yo. The first argument is going to be public. if they pop it like that, they're going to be posting memes. They're going to make it obvious to their followers that, oh, she might be going through something.
Bro,
You know
but
what I
like
mean?
everybody,
So, you don't want
bro,
that.
everybody do that though. Like it don't matter how many followers you got. Yo, I be seeing people go on Instagram and be like, oh, I hate him. I can't believe he did that. And then start posting just random, like, yo, why you just welcoming us into your business like that?
Right.
Like, I don't even understand people who post like rest in peace posts really sometimes. Like, unpopular opinion, bro. I'm like, yo, they are not looking at this. Like
That's crazy work.
they not looking at this.
I miss you so much. I mean,
I was just talking to you yesterday, Tay Tay. Like,
Yeah.
you think this nigga having like strolling through Instagram like
Yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know. It is different though. It's different because
what the hell these niggas talking to?
I be feeling like social media was one of those things that it's like it's so loose. Like it didn't come out with like a manual on like social media etiquette, so it's kind of like all goes. And some people invest in it more than others, and some to a fault like that though. Like it can be a lot. It can be a lot. Like people wear their heart. You know how it is. It's just so many different types of people that
I can't, bro. Like
determines their worth.
yo,
It's crazy. Yeah, crazy story about my first experience with social media. This is way back. Shout out to Adam and my family in New Jersey. I'm out in New Jersey with my cousin Adam, and they had their computer years before I know we had a computer. And they had AOL, and back then they had AOL and they had the little chat rooms. And it kind of just blew my mind that you could go in and chat to somebody who knows where in the world. So it's like back in the day, you only talk to somebody if you met them out in public somewhere.
right.
So now the fact that you can literally pick up your phone and connect with anybody anywhere in the world is crazy. So the fact that a lot of people make, like, as far as like, when you go out in the world and you dress up, if you're a female, you put your makeup on, you put nice clothes on, whatever. Your Instagram page is that now. You gotta make sure your Instagram page look good because that's what they judging you off of when they first see you. So it's like it's a whole different dynamic to life in general versus like how people meet each other, how people interact with each other. Like it's people that might be best friends and probably never even seen each other.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a lot different than it was 25, 30 years ago.
Yeah, I'll be watching this show. It's called. You ever heard of Love After Lockup? It'd be the people. They be. It'd be people. The people that be chatting to like inmates, male or female, and then they build a relationship through like trading messages, writing letters, and stuff like that. And then the series pretty much document their experiences when the person is either released. Then they do like different versions, like while locked up, after lockup, when they get released and stuff like that. And it's an interesting show to watch, to say the least, because what happens is it's so many promises and stuff that happens. So people will be thinking like, oh, once they get out, I'm gonna get married, we're gonna have kids. But this person just getting their freedom. So you kind of see how like it's a give and pull, because they still trying to figure out where they at in life. They've been locked up for 11 years, but this person clock is kind of running out, so they like, yo, we gotta get married, have a wedding, and all this stuff soon. Then you gotta see how different families mesh together. So it's really a good show, and that's kind of what you were saying. Remind me of is like trying to create that connection through any type of wall of like just being, whether it's digital or just writing letters. It can be a life-changing thing for some people. Like your best friend or the love of your life could be on the other side of the screen. You know.
Yep. Talking to Kendrick like pre-show for real. I was having this conversation about, but it's like when we was talking about like family dynamic and like so basically I was having a conversation yesterday at this party I went to, and we was talking about like just our kids and whatever. So he has 2 boys, right? And they are both in sports, and we was talking about like, we kind of started talking about how Bronny is like has all the pressure, but he's not even the best one, right? So because like the youngest Bryce, he's like 6'7", no one has no questions that he is athletic and he can make it to the NBA. They have like, you don't hear a lot of people kind of down talking Bryce because he's 6'7", about the same size as his dad. He's still like excelling. So I'm like, it's a lot of like famous people or famous brothers, sister athletes, entertainers that like have that same type of dynamic and success. So I guess the question would be like, do you think like birth order determines or is a factor into like the success of each sibling? Like, for instance, let's say like the oldest child, they say like they have more so like leadership qualities, or say, and they perform better under pressure, like the oldest child. And then they like the middle is like the peacemaker, they get less attention and they have success in that factor. And then let's say the youngest child is more of like a free spirit, like a risk taker, and then that's where that success comes from. But do you think like birth order plays a factor in how successful that sibling going to be?
Oh, for sure. It got to. It got to.
I think so.
I don't think it's no coincidence. Like, as far as like being the oldest and you having leadership skills, yeah, you got to lead your younger siblings, and then if you the middle child being the peacemaker, you gotta manage being the younger and being the older sibling. So it's like you gotta learn how to do both dynamics of that. And then being the youngest is like you can do whatever, because you got your parents and you got your two older siblings that's gonna make sure you straight, whatever you do. So it's like, yeah, that definitely makes sense, especially if the siblings are all growing up in the same space around in the same time.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
based off of that, you think the youngest has a better possibility to be the most successful?
In what field though? You mean like,
And just
as far as like athletics, you mean?
I mean,
it just depends on where you want to look at. Because you gotta look at like, if you look at entertainment, you look at Michael Jackson. He's probably the best entertainment in the world.
That's how it should be, just because they have two blueprints ahead of them to know what and what not to do. So just like we were saying in a couple episodes before, like if you are generation 1, you should be able to build off of you generation 2, you should be able to build off of generation 1. And if you generation 3, you should be able to build off of generation 2. So it's just the same thing on a smaller scale. But like if Phil saw what you did and he like, all right, I want to do that, he already got the blueprint. Or if he saw something that didn't go good, he can say, all right, I'm going to avoid doing that. So it's like, that's how it should be. Like if you're the younger brother and you paying attention and you taking the lessons you learned and applying them, that's how it should be. And that's why I think, like, for instance, for Bryce now, athletics is different just because they both athletic. Like Bryce, and they in the NBA. Like, I ain't gonna say they're not athletic, but like Bryce is more gifted athletically as far as size and speed and strength and all of that. So he can grab the skills take off the skills from his dad. He can take the skills from his brother, and develop his own skills and combine them all into one. You know what I'm saying? So he should be able to have more success than. I mean, it's kind of hard to ask him to have more success than his dad, because it's like,
Yeah.
he's like a once in a generation type of talent, but he has all the tools in place he needs if he wants to be.
But what's your theory on that though? What's your theory on that? Like, why do you think the youngest always get like all the like just think about us, right? Like, I'm taller than you, but Phil taller than me. Like, why you think the last child gets all the attributes, all the high attributes?
I think it got a scientific.
I see it in like every like brother dynamic. Like, if you think about Shiloh and Shador, like Shador going number 1, Shiloh older than Shador, like, he might not even get drafted. So like, why is it like
the first one is the cameraman?
Yeah, the first one, he the shortest
but
one.
he's smallest.
He the smallest one. Yo, you can look at it. It's the same dynamic. Yo, he was the shortest one. Probably like the least athletic out of all of them, but still have athletic. Then you got Shiloh that was kind of like a tweener, like, and then you got the youngest, the best one. Like, why is always like, you think you think, and this is something that we was discussing yesterday too. He was like, "You'll do intention.
It's the
Does
same-
intention
it's the same-
matter?"
it's the same scenario with the sperm. The sperm, like, all right, we're gonna shoot these ones out this time. Last time we shot these ones out. This time we shooting these ones out.
No, I think it's the. It might be the development of the parents too, though. It might be the development of the parents, whereas though you know how being that you the first one. But then once 2 and 3 come along, the body already recognized what to do with developmentally wise, scientific wise, right? And like that might go into when mom was when like based on conception in those first 9 months, maybe her habits, like her eating habits and everything might be different. So that could be it. That could be it. I think that's more of a scientific thing of why like
Yo, hold up.
I wonder if there's like a study. I wonder if there's like a scientific study on that.
Yeah, I want to know.
I think no, but it makes sense, yo, because the first get the strict rules. They the most like because y'all the first ones. By the time parenting gonna fall off once they seen it a couple times, because it's like he'll be alright. I was in the he'll be alright stage, but I still seen how all our dynamics was different, because it's a complex thing with time and space, and because you was there, like I never lived, like when we grew up in the house, I was there the whole time. I never lived nowhere else, you know what I mean? But I think you, Kedrick, might have you lived at the apartments, and then you was there with the move to the house, and so yeah, I was there the whole time too. So it's kind of like different things, different,
But I'm talking about the physical makeup, and this is the physical makeup of everybody, right? And this is just a theory. This is just a theory, right? Kedrick was talking about like the sperm cells, whatever. So it's like intention, right? So like, do you ever like, I don't know if none of y'all had like kind of like pregnancy scares when y'all when y'all was whatever. Like, don't you know how you have like you get, I'm trying to be like PG with it, but if you do like a you just get you get out of there and you like, oh, I ain't mean to like do that, right? So then so it's like you have less sperm cells, like you have less people to compete with to get to the egg, right? So it's like if you wasn't intention, the intention wasn't to get someone pregnant, and you don't do a full inside or whatever, so you have a less competitors. Like now you only fighting against 500, which make you less strong. Cause you like, you in a smaller bracket. Like I could beat these niggas. So like, but instead, when you intentionally try to get somebody pregnant, it's like 3,000 in that motherfucker, and you the best out of 3,000 niggas. So you come out stronger, faster, more competitive because you was intentional. And then if you wasn't intentional, you had to play against like 25 niggas. So you coming from an intramural league, and then the youngest had to compete against D1 niggas too. So it's like. So that's why I think the youngest come out like the more competitive, like more like physically built, because they had to play against way more people fighting for the egg. That's just my theory.
No,
not to get too dark with it, but they already made this comparison to like why African Americans are mostly more athletic than whites. And it was like, you got to think about how most of the African Americans came over to this country. Mm-hmm. A lot of them died on the way over here.
Right.
So it was like the most fit, the most athletic, the strongest ones is the ones who actually made the trip over.
Oh, that's
so
true.
It's kind of like that's the same type of scenario where only the strongest and the best of the best made it over here. So that's why you'll see the most athletic, the strongest, the most fit is the ones that's over here.
That's true.
Yeah. That's why America, they come in number 1 in the Olympics and all different types of stuff, because it was like survival of the fittest at that point. And then when through slavery and breeding, that's kind of how it happened. That's why we got elite talent.
Yeah, I just always.
But I think it is like I do think the more like the woman's body or even the male body matures, I think that's why as well, because if it's almost like the idea, I forget what type of fish, but depending on the size of the tank, it can't grow, as it can't span further than the tank. So naturally, the body, Most creatures like that, they will only grow as big as their environment. And being that if you have multiple pregnancies and stuff like that, your body already used to it. So that's probably why the youngest end up being the more like tallest or biggest or sometimes. Because I see that all the time.
You wanted to say something else. You said the more
Hey, we the latest and greatest model. We the latest and greatest model. I had this debate at work all the time. I was having this debate at work all the time because we try to figure out like how people personalities are based on like, because you could tell people personalities are different based on if they're the youngest, oldest, or even if they're only child. I'll get into we Baltimore guys, so I always get into the Ravens trivia. So I got 3 questions for y'all, and this honestly is not even really 3 questions. It's if I want to see what y'all recall are on some of the popular Ravens that wore certain numbers. So who wanna go first?
I go first. Go ahead.
All right. So what you're gonna do is
show off strong.
Yeah. So what we're gonna do is you're gonna name. I'm gonna ask you to name 3 people with that certain number that wore that in the Ravens jersey, and then you get to pick. I want to get your opinion on who is the best out of those people. So being that we're doing 3, the first thing is what's the best Ravens, or what's the 3 Ravens that wore number 3? And out of those 3, who was the best?
Matt Stover, because he a good person. Odell Beckham.
Okay.
And I want to say James Prochet. Maybe James Prochet wear number 3.
You pulled that out of nowhere.
And the best of those, I'm gonna have to. The best of those that, as a Raven, I'm gonna go with Matt Stover.
Okay.
I agree with that.
And then the other notable players that wore number 3, RG3. That's where I thought you was gonna go with it. And Deontay Hardy, he wore number 3 last season.
Okay.
All right, E, you're up. Yours might be a little bit easier, man. Or maybe not. Name 3 Ravens that wore the number 21, and who was the best 21?
All right. Ladarius Webb wore 21. Chris McAllister wore 21. Damn. Who else? 21. There gotta be one more. 21. I feel like we had a running back there who wore 21.
We did.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. 21? Priest? No, he wore 31. Hold on, damn, why? Mark Ingram.
Yep.
Damn, why does they?
All right.
Then slip my head.
I thought you was gonna go with Brandon Stevens.
Yep. Another notable one, Brandon Stevens, Ernest Biner wore it back in. He was the first 21. Out of those, who was the best Raven?
The best Raven? I gotta say Mark Ingram, yo. Only because
over Chris McAllister?
Nah, he ain't better.
Nah. Just because he kind of like put a stamp on like our new era of Lamar Jackson. Like that whole when Lamar Jackson was on his first MVP run, that excitement with all the quotes that he gave us, all the sound bites that Mark Ingram, and that whole energy of like meet me at the bank. Yeah. What he used to say? Trust.
Big trust.
Big trust.
That big trust.
But that boy cold.
And his whole like how he was back in and he kind of elevated Lamar Jackson's confidence as a veteran. I think that's important in the growth and the maturation of Lamar Jackson that we see now. But that whole movement, that trust movement, and how it started kind of creating that new of how the Ravens players and how that locker room is, and whoever they bring into the locker room, that's how it's going to be. That foundation was set with Mark Ingram. So that's why I think
all right,
he was probably the best.
I can respect that because on the field, I got to go with Chris McAllister, but off the field, you took another approach with the culture. How he impacted the Raven culture, I can agree with you on that one, 100%.
And he balled too.
Yeah,
he balled too,
yeah,
100%. All right, Kay, this might be a little bit easier because I believe it's about 15 that wore this number. 15 people that wore this number. So, what Ravens wore the number 31, and who was the best 31?
Jamal Lewis. We got Bernard Pilot.
Yep, correct. Back in 2011.
31. I ain't got no more 31.
Dang, for real?
I know one.
31.
You got Jamal Lewis, Bernard Pollard. I already know where you're gonna go with the best one of Ravens. I already kind of can see where you're gonna go with this one. It's kind of easy.
31.
We had 15 players that wore this number.
15. Was any of them nice?
They support guys, few safeties, few nickel corners, running back.
31.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna get this one.
No, Alan Ricard.
Incorrect. Sorry. Dang, man, you might have took your first L today. So you got Tony Jefferson was it one? Fabian Washington was a notable one.
Yeah.
We had Dalvin Cook. He wore number 31 for his short time here. You know, we signed him late in the season, but he was the 31 guy. And a few other guys, a lot of other guys. Omar Brown, some of the dudes you probably never recognized. Terrence Brooks was like a, fourth, fifth string corners and stuff like that.
Let me ask you one.
All right.
Actually, let me make sure it's 3 of these people.
Because there's a few numbers that's only 101s. Like Ray Lewis is the only 52
Yeah.
in Raven history.
Let's go with number 22.
Oh man, we got a few. We got Derrick Henry. We got Jimmy Smith. 22. Derrick Henry, Jimmy Smith.
There's only one more that I can think of off the top of my head. I was looking at the computer again.
Oh no, I don't think I got this one. I don't think I got 22. I'm gonna type it in though. I'm gonna see.
You know E?
You know?
22. Dwayne Starks. I don't know.
There you go. That's the one I was thinking.
Oh, Dwayne Starks. Oh dang.
That's the only one.
That's
That's the only one I can think about.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking about, Dwayne Starks. I'm sure there was others though.
Yeah. Demarion Williams, Samari Roll. Some of the other guys y'all probably not gonna know. Robert Tate, Dorian Brew. Not too many.
Yeah.
All right, go give.
22.
Yeah, Samari Roll's 122. All right, let's get one. Give E one.
All right. 28.
28. 28. 28.
Dang, you don't know one?
28. What the hell was 28? I don't even 28.
Phil, you looking it up? I can think of 2 off the top.
Yeah, give me that. I don't know.
Yeah, I got him.
28.
So we got Terrence West
Oh yeah.
Yep.
and Gary Baxter.
Yep.
That's all I got. Who else? I know there's another.
It can't be nobody.
We got Sanusi Kane. We got him this year. They actually got Chris McAllister wearing 28.
Yeah,
I think that might have been his rookie year.
Yeah.
Latavius Murray, Gary Baxter, Anthony Averett.
I know everything.
Ronald Darby wore 28.
We had him this year. We had him.
Jermaine Winborn.
Last year. No, this
Yeah, it was last year.
Did he play?
There's some notable. No, we didn't have him last year. We had him the year before.
Oh, yeah, he played.
He was a part of the cornerback when like Rocky Sin was on our team and all them guys. Thanks for joining us, fam, for another episode of From the Crib podcast with your boy Philly Cash, K the Tech Man, and E Foster. See y'all next episode.
See y'all.
Peace.
Peace out.